So I wanted to do this video about quiet quitting. I only heard about this actually not too long ago. It's about 2-3 months ago. I saw this all over Instagram and social media. I was just like, first of all, what is quiet quitting? I thought like based off of the title itself, I thought I knew, but then when I start to look into it, I can see both sides. So first off, what is quiet quitting? And this is my definition. Please do not fight me on anything like this, but quiet quitting is essentially you're just doing the job. You're not doing anything more. You're not doing anything less. You're also not necessarily trying to progress that much. That's exactly what I perceived as quiet quitting. But then let me talk to you about my different ways of breaking this down and then my opinion in the end. So first off is work-life balance versus career progression. As someone who is always thinking about like my career, next thing, what's the next thing I'm gonna do, what's the next job I'm gonna do, next project, or even next role within Google, if I'm gonna jump within Google or even leave Google. But I mean, I'm here already, so I'm not gonna leave right now. But that's what I was thinking was like, do I want to just keep going? And actually this kind of conversation came up when I was at Accenture. While I was doing Workday Financial software implementations, I did not come in thinking wanting to do Workday Financials. I wanted to do technology, anything kind of technology, try different things, because that's exactly what the technology development program was kind of designed for. But instead they put me into Workday Financials. But I got comfortable. I actually liked the work I was doing. I'm not a fan of being tied towards Workday Financials because I kind of wanted to be like a generalist in some ways when it comes to technology. But when it came to this, I was like, I could technically stay here and do my job. I was, of course, still trying to do really well. I'm not just kind of do the bare minimal in my job, but I was just like, I can kind of stay here. There's job stability because this area is growing. I have good income coming from this. I have the connections. I have the visibility. I can get promoted quickly. Do I want to do that? And I actually was thinking about this before of my, like, if you want to watch my video over here, this was actually where I was deciding, do I want to leave or do I want to go transfer somewhere else or do I want to leave completely to maybe even leave consulting entirely? So that's actually the conversation that I was having. I was like, I'm comfortable. But then this is where my friends Michelle and Sally, this particular day I went to a coffee shop and I started talking to my friend Michelle and Sally about my kind of dilemma. And I didn't talk about this at all until that dilemma. And I ended up crying at this freaking coffee shop. I was like, what am I gonna do? Like, what can I do? And at first I was like really scared of leaving Accenture because I know it's cushy, it's comfortable, I know what to expect. I was just like so confused, like if I were to leave, I can't guarantee my work-life balance. I can't guarantee that I know exactly what to do. It's like a little bit uncomfortable. Like the irony is like when you're on a project to project, you're actually going to be uncomfortable meeting new clients, meeting doing different projects, even though it's all within Workday Financials. But at the end of the day, it can all be different, but still comfortable, if that makes sense. Like you got some kind of stability being in the same company, same team in some cases, like because we all know each other, so we kind of go on the same teams together. But when it comes to a whole different project or different company entirely, I was like, what does that even mean? Like, how do I actually know what it truly is like? Because what if I wanted, and this was like at the time I was thinking about doing a career change into product management. I had no experience in product management. I had like relatable experience. I had transferable skills and experience in product management. I had an internship that wasn't truly the way that tech product management specifically is like, but I wanted to know exactly what product management was before I did it. And that's exactly why I was trying to transfer to product management within Accenture, because I could still get that same cushy job, but all I have to do is just do the project and then I can always go back to Workday Financials if it doesn't work out, which it does end up going to be like that if I thought the case, but instead Google came along. But for that particularly, I was like, do I want to make that jump? And for that, I was just thinking about this because this was like at the help with my friends. I'm in my 20s, so if I want to do something, this is the time before I have to worry about kids and worry about like maybe even potentially relocating, which I'm not gonna relocate, who knows, but we don't know what the future holds. But I was thinking like, this is the time to do it. If I have kids in the future, I'm gonna be so tired. I don't want to do anything new. That's actually probably the perfect time to do quiet quitting there, but I'm in my 20s. This is the time to go because I can always come back to Accenture. That was always something that I could always consider. But when it comes to this, my 20s, this is the time where I have very little commitment on anything except for like, I still have my cats and I still have my mortgage, but but other than that, this is the time to take risks. So even if I don't like what I'm doing, I still have the energy. I still have that time to do that. So I left after that. coffee chat. Of course, we talked about other things beyond this, but I left very motivated. Like, I'm gonna go apply, I'm gonna go for it, and that's what I ended up doing. And then now I'm actually here at Google. I feel like the risk was worth it, especially because I was like, I got Google. Google was definitely on top of my list regardless if it was Accenture or not. But when it came to that, I was like, okay, this was a risk worth taking. And the risk was also like solutions architect is actually closer to home than it is product management. So at least I had that. But when it came to that, I had to kind of think about this work-life balance versus career progression. I always chose companies that value work-life balance. So where you can usually get that from the leadership or the people that you interview or the actual company culture itself. So I always went for companies that had work-life balance. Accenture, technically they said that, not really, but depending on the project, you may not get work-life balance. I've been lucky to have all my projects have really good work-life balance because the team has been really good, or at least the people I worked with, they set the tone that it was okay to step away to have dinner. If you didn't have time to do that, like, why am I on this project? Like, that's not worth it. I can't even have dinner. I can't even have lunch to be able to work through my work. So that's something that I thought was interesting because I'm always about career progression, but at the same time, I do care about work-life balance. I'm clearly doing YouTube here, like you're watching this video. So I wanted to do something outside of just my job. So in this case, it would just be having a really clear-cut hours. Like right now, honestly, this is a little bit interesting because I'm actually today, right now, as of this filming, it's Black Friday, and working with retail clients and being in Google Shopping, I'm technically on call with my clients if there's any emergencies that pop up when it comes to Black Friday. So this is like the biggest time of year for them. It's like Cyber 5, which is Thanksgiving through Cyber Monday, and this is the biggest time. Technically, even though work-life balance wise, I have the day off, I still have to be on the ready, essentially, that my accounts are ready and good to go. So when it comes to that, I just wanted to say that like there is work-life balance. You may have to give up a few things, but it's really like, I think actually this is where this Instagrammer or this, I don't think she likes to be called that, but like this person I follow, she actually says that work-life balance is not really a thing, but really it's like some things take precedent over others in certain times of your life. So it's not like you're trying to balance all of them, just some things will clearly take precedent over the others. Right now, my career is going to take precedent, and then come like the day after Cyber Monday, it may not take precedent. Maybe my health will be precedent. Maybe my social life will be precedent. Who knows? But right now, like even though I'm not necessarily working, I still gotta be ready. So I gotta be home, be ready. I can't go out for like a ski trip or anything like that. I mean, I could, but I just need to kind of be strapped to my laptop if anything happens. But all right. Moving on from that, so I really do believe in work-life balance, and if you focus on companies that do work-life balance, or at least focus on being on teams, and you can usually see when you're interviewing with the teams to see, do they value work-life balance? What are their thoughts on what's the outlook? And then I was able to kind of vet that out through the actual interview process. I know that my team was like actually valuing work-life balance, but there are definitely times where you have to kind of balance it. Like, do you actually see it? Do you not see it? And if that's the case, like, are there ways to even work it out? Or can you go part-time? Can you maybe not go part-time? Like, are the hours flexible kind of thing? Or what is the manager's thoughts on this? Do you just kind of at least get your work done? Or is it just like you have to kind of be present for those hours? Who knows? But you can only figure that out through the interview. So the next one is like, how far are you in your career? That's exactly why I always think about that. I'm like in my late 20s, so this is the time to focus on my career if I wanted to. In the future, maybe my family will be more important. Maybe my actual goals outside of my job are going to be more important. And I do have some ideas on that, but that will be down the line. Who knows? And then the other one is like, what's your company outlook? So like I said, through the interview process, that's exactly where you kind of figure that out. Do your interview, during your actual research, all of that comes to handy. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to tell because maybe the image that they put out, it's gonna be one thing, but then in reality it's not. So that's where networking comes in handy. You wanna reach out to people internally of the company, hopefully before you actually apply for the job or even before the interview, to actually get that true inside detail, and hopefully in the exact role you're going for, because some roles are gonna be definitely more intensive. Some teams are gonna be more intensive. Some managers are gonna be more intensive. Like I have a friend who's actually at Google, and his manager has like different kind of ideas compared to my manager. So because of that, our work-life balance is not exactly the same. So definitely make sure you do some inside work, inside digging. It's not necessarily cheating. You're doing your networking. You're trying to learn a little bit more about the role. And then also, like, where in life are you at? Do you value money? Do you value career? Do you value outside of your job? Like, for example, for me, I want to do YouTube. I want to do Rover. I want to do cat sitting. I want to have my own cats. I want to be able to do whatever I want. I am essentially, like, I actually kind of broke away from my job in the past. In the past, I had Accenture, and I was like, oh my God, this is my life. Like, I literally filmed YouTube videos about technology consulting. But now I'm just kind of thinking about it, like, the reason why I had that whole dilemma about do I want to leave or not, it's because I got comfortable. It's because I liked what I was having at that time. I still like what I'm having right now, but you don't know what you're going to have until you take that leap, you know? So when it comes to this, like, that's where I was thinking about, like, okay, where am I in my life? Do I care about my career? Do I care about my money? And right now I cared about flexibility. So I wanted a job to be able to allow that. I also wanted to make sure that compensation wise, at the very least, be the same as Accenture. So it doesn't have to be necessarily better. So, but if you at the same time you want to value progression, maybe staying at Accenture would be better, because then you kind of have, you know, the ropes, you know, the people, you know, the area. You don't have to start from ground zero. So it's always good to know what you're looking for here. And then after that, it's like, what are your goals in life, work, and financial? So this is not necessarily just your job focus, but really, like, can you do things outside of your job to get what you want? Or does it have to be your job? Or can you even change your company to be able to get what you want to get? And then lastly, setting boundaries. So this is where I feel like, and I definitely check out the video here where, like, I don't know why consultants don't know how to say no. I know so many consultants that don't know how to say no, my boyfriend included. Calling him out here, but it's just like setting boundaries is, and this is actually kind of leading into my actual opinion about quiet quitting. I still value my career, and I know when it's important to put my head down and do the work, but I also know how to stand out as well. So try to be efficient and effective rather than working hard only. So in this case, work smart and hard, but not just work hard. So you kind of want to see, where can I do the most value add based off of what I can do at the time and what I can do to make sure to manage those expectations. When I first started at Google, I had my team that literally said, you can block on your calendar times you don't want calls. I was like, what? You can do that? Because at Accenture, my entire calendar was pretty much open. Even if it was like midnight, I'll be there. I mean, of course I could say no if I want to, but my calendar was open. But really, like, we had like DNS, do not schedule, on our calendar. I was like, I can do that? What? And then there's also times where I'm on the East Coast, and then I have teammates in the Central Time, and I also have teammates in the Pacific Time. And every time we'd actually talk about like scheduling calls, and everyone has been so great about this. They actually go like, oh, we don't want you to work so late, so let's do it around like 2 p.m. our time. So essentially it's gonna be like 11 a.m. for Pacific time, but they're not gonna make me work 5 p.m. their time, which is essentially 8 p.m. here. So it's like, okay, that's great, because they set the tone. But in general, like, they set the boundaries already. Like, I had a sense already that, like, okay, it's really like you kind of craft your own journey here. You want to set your own boundaries. And that's why I was like, really good. It's like not necessarily your team is setting boundaries, or at least allowing you, but like to actually say you can set boundaries, because people can even say 3 p.m. I have to go pick up my kids. Even at Accenture, people did that too. So we knew not to schedule anything, or even if we did, to expect that they're not going to be on a computer, that they're going to be dialing in. They can't screen share, they can't do anything like that, but at least they're available. So that's what was like something that you can set boundaries on. Be clear about what your boundaries on. Do you care about, maybe you don't even have anything you want to do outside of work, and you're just like, I just want to work. I just want to, maybe your first thing you would talk about is like, I want to get promoted. So in that case, you may need to throw out your boundaries. But as I said, like, you kind of have to give or take. Do you care about work-life balance? Do you care about other things? Do you have fulfillment outside of your job? Or do you just want to see, you want to get promoted, you want to get a better pay, that kind of thing? So in that case, that's what you might have to do. So in the end, I also realized that, like, at this time of recording, there's also a recession coming, or maybe it's already here, who knows? But you may want to kind of work a little bit harder just to be recession proof, because at the end of the day, companies are probably going to think about cutting the bottom line. So they're going to have to think about layoffs. So you don't want to be the first person they think of, like, this person's a low performer, they're just going to scrape and buy. You want to do something more than just that. So exactly what I said, try to act smart, try to be smart with your time and energy. Try to find the most high impact areas you can do without really burning yourself out? Or are there ways you can delegate things? Or are there ways you can figure out another way you can do things that are not going to be that work intensive? Can you work with some tool? Can you ask what are some tools or resources out there versus starting everything from scratch? So there's a lot of different ways you can figure this out before you actually jump the gun. So definitely try to do that before you actually try to quiet quit. But my final thoughts is I am full support, but you kind of need to make sure you know your standards. So in this case, like if, for example, you don't care so much about career progression, you just kind of want to stay here, you want to be able to have this money to fund your other things outside of your job, go for it. But you also kind of have to be aware of, like, let's say the recession is coming and then they have some layoffs. You may have to be okay with that. That, like, you may have to kind of come up with something else to make you irreplaceable, that makes you special, that they don't want to lay you off, or in this case, fire you in some cases. But you want to be able to be mindful of those things. But I wouldn't say that everyone's supposed to value their career, everyone's supposed to be like 150% on their jobs. You should still be able to, and like I have this whole little triangle thing that I thought about in the past. It was like career is definitely one of them, and then health is the other one, and social is the other. So you want to make sure you balance all three of them. If you work so hard on your social life and your actual work, your health is going to deplete, and without your health, you can't do either of those well. And then vice versa, if you're just working and you're just caring about your health, what about social? Like technically you could just do things on your own, but like what's the point if your whole life is just working, right? So you want to be able to enjoy your life too. And then if you're just going to focus on your health and you focus on your social, what's going to fund it? You need to have a job to be able to pay, or not even a job, but something at least to be able to fund that. So those are the three that I had in my little triangle. And every time I asked about work-life balance, especially from busy individuals, they always say sometimes things are going to be more important than the others. Like for example, you just give birth, then probably your social, in this case your family, is probably going to be the most important than your job. You're going on maternity leave. Vice versa, if let's say you're in your prime of your career, you're okay with not having kids, you're okay with not having a boyfriend or girlfriend or anything like that, then maybe you could focus on your career. That's completely up to you. So as long as you're aware of the implications of what that means, then that's what it really means. And you have to kind of be okay with that. And honestly, quiet quitting can just be anyone's definition of what they see of what is quiet quitting. But for me particularly, I am selectively quiet quitting because I'm still very ambitious with a lot of things I want to do, but I'm purposely trying to keep things at bay, keeping boundaries around certain things so it doesn't rule my life, that I have control over my life, not my job take control over me. So thank you so much, and let me know in the comments down below, what are your thoughts on quiet quitting? What are you thinking? Do you also feel like you're quiet quitting? Do you feel differently about it? Do you feel like you shouldn't be or that you should be? Let me know down below. Thank you. Bye.